Yo, what up guys? I've been watching a lot of Asmongold's stream recently and people are just mulling over him using Whirlwind instead of Tempest Slash on his Berserker. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a damage comparison between the two, the pros and cons of whether to use Whirlwind or Tempest Slash. And actually in my opinion, well not really in my opinion, but statistically, Whirlwind is actually much better in almost every situation except for a slight burst window. And so I am going to show you guys what my setup is here. So I'm in the training room here and my crit is around 1800 just so I can have more crit rate, and my engravings is just going to be the typical Mayhem level 3, and I'm going to have precise Stagger just to give me more crit rate to make this test more accurate, right? And so if you check my details here, I have 84% crit, but when I use my chain sword, I'm going to gain another 15% crit, so that's essentially 100%, right? Yup, 99.42, and I'm going to be utilizing back attack. So back attack is going to give me 5% even more crit, so I'm going to have a total of over 100% crit, which is more than enough for this test to be accurate. And so these are the tripods for my Whirlwind. I have a plus 4 seconds hold duration, just gives more damage to Whirlwind. I have a Great Wheel, which is the damage tripod for Whirlwind. And I have Vacuum Slash. This one's also a damage tripod because it's hitting 2 times and it's doing 50% more damage. So this one's really good for Whirlwind. For Tempest Slash, I have the max roll build. Okay, so everyone's using max roll. I'm going to use a max roll build and show you guys the difference of damage. So max roll uses a quick prep, which is minus 5% or minus 5-second cooldown. Weak point detection, this is good on bosses. And then drive and hit is going to do a kind of downward damage at the end of the skill, like this, right? Just that one hit like that. And so let's start the test. I have a boss monster here, and I have my timer, my DPS meter here. And so let's start the test. I'm going to do a test. It's going to be Chainsword into Whirlwind, and then my other test is going to be Chainsword into Tempest Slash. So let's start it. Alright, crit rate 100%, and how much did I do? 765,000. Okay, remember that number. I'm going to stop the test, reset my cooldowns, and now I'm going to use Tempest Slash. 581,000. So already from the first test, you can see that Whirlwind actually does 200,000, close to 200,000 more damage. This can be increased even further because I don't have runes. So Whirlwind I usually pair with bleed, and since Whirlwind is a holding skill and it takes a long time to kind of cast it, this bleed is actually not 5 seconds, but it's actually going to be 8 to 9 seconds, just because Whirlwind's going to keep reapplying the bleed. So it's going to be even more damage. Normally, more damage than, normal skills. So watch this. I'm going to equip it. Save. And now watch how much damage Whirlwind does now. So, oh, sorry, I missed there. Chain strike into a bleeding Whirlwind, and it keeps ticking. So 42, 42, 42, 1 million damage on Whirlwind with a bleed. Tempest Slash, it literally doubles Tempest Slash's damage. All right, that's kind of skewed, but yeah. So we're just gonna take off the bleeding rune here. If I can take it off. Yep. And now you might be wondering, what about the cooldowns, maybe there's more damage per second because of the cooldowns. Well, let's see Tempest Slash. 19-second cooldown. Whirlwind. 20-second cooldown. So essentially they have the same cooldown, and so Whirlwind's just doing more damage per second as well. And now let's do a second test or a third test and see whether Tempest Slash is better in a burst window more than Whirlwind. And so we're going to check max roll again, and max roll advises the short DPS check window with Tempest Slash is to use Red Dust for the damage increase, into Finishing Strike, into Tempest Slash, into Sword Storm. we're going to do the same order, but instead of Tempest Slash, we're going to use Whirlwind. So let's test out both of these skills here, okay? Alright, so I'm going to do test, and I'm going to start with Red Dust, into Finishing Strike, into this one, into Tempest Slash. Everything crit, everything back attack. Let's wait for the DPS tick on my Sword Storm to finish, and we did 3.7 million damage with 100% crit. Alright, remember that number 3.7, and remember this is a burst window that's recommended on max roll. Alright, 3.7. We're going to reset cooldowns, and now we're going to use Whirlwind instead of Tempest Slash. And so I'm going to change the order a little bit because Whirlwind does have a long casting time, so I'm going to use Red Dust into Sword Storm, into Finishing Strike, into Whirlwind. Alright, 100% crit, and oh, look at that. The damage is 3.867, so it's actually 100,000 or close to 200,000 more than Tempest Slash. So even in a burst window, a really short burst window, about it's around 6 seconds because of, you know, Red Dust, Whirlwind is actually doing even more damage than Tempest Slash. And so there you have your answer. In a burst window, Whirlwind's better. In a non-burst window, Whirlwind is still better. And now another reason to use Whirlwind over Tempest Slash. Tempest Slash, you basically get animation locked. Albeit it's really a quick animation, alright? It's really fast. And so you can't really do a mistake, but what I've noticed with people who use Tempest Slash is the initial hits, those don't even hit contact with the bosses most of the time, right? I've seen a lot of people go like this. So this is the boss, and Tempest Slash, they go like this. And they just get the one downward hit on the boss, and that's only 300,000, so you basically lost half your damage by not getting the initial hits in. To get the full damage of Tempest Slash, you have to be really close to the boss, and then you can get the initial flying hits in, right? And so already that's pretty hard positionally, and you do get animation locked as well. So if, you know, the boss runs you around, Tempest Slash is much harder to hit, right? A lot of people just do that. Like literally a lot of people just hit that last hit. But with Whirlwind is another situation, a different skill, right? It's very good for positionings, it's very good for positionals, and it does a lot of damage as well. And so, for example, if the boss is in front of me, right, and I want to get to the back, I just Whirlwind, like, and I hit the boss along the way, right? It's so easy, and it's so nice and convenient to use. It's just a great skill to reposition yourself as well. You can also use this skill to dodge attacks, and you can also use this to kind of cheese debuffs. So what I mean by that is the Guardian boss Egrexion, he has a slow movement speed debuff, and so you're like moving like a snail, right? You're like super slow, you have minus 60 stacks or something, but with Whirlwind you can negate that. So even with the movement speed debuff, your Whirlwind is going to be exactly the same like it is right now. Full utility, full movement speed, full attack speed. And so there's really no reason to replace Whirlwind with Tempest Slash, right? The only reason to use Tempest Slash in this case, in this scenario, is for a better stagger. So Stagger's mid, Whirlwind's also mid, but Tempest Slash you can get off more easier and more faster, right? But really doesn't matter because you have Finishing Strike, and you have your Dark Rush. So Dark Rush is insane stagger. Finishing Strike is also insane stagger. You usually put Finish Strike with a Stagger Rune, just like this one. And so basically stagger checks don't even matter. You don't even use Tempest Slash for staggers. And so there's really no situation where Tempest Slash is better than Whirlwind. Even in Chaos Dungeons, even in mobbings, Whirlwind's better. So not sure why people are modding. I guess they just didn't do the damage test or something. They just like a max roll. But if you guys do find a situation where Tempest Slash is better than Whirlwind, please leave a comment below. You can't really say burst window because I just showed you the red dust burst window. So yeah, please let me know, what do you prefer and why you prefer Tempest Slash. Thanks for watching, and until next time.